Oh my God, you cannot record me.
Yeah, I'm going to record you.
You cannot record me. I don't provide any consent for recording.
Really?
Oh, Halliq.
No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Go ahead, please.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is happening.
I was having a heart attack.
Oh my
Go ahead.
gosh.
Go ahead.
What I'm going to post.
Yeah, probably you should ask people
Yeah. You
beforehand.
want?
Good icebreaker.
Everybody is okay with the recording. It's okay, right? Yeah, okay, good.
Hey, Joe, I like your setup there. It looks very cozy. Yeah, you just need a beer there and just relax.
Thank you. Yeah, my apartment
Cheers,
has
man.
some pretty
Cheers.
No
low
lights.
lighting.
Okay, guys, we are going to wait just a minute to come more people. In the meantime, we can say the new ones. I'm not seeing Alvisa. Alvisa can be a new one.
Yeah, I don't recognize Alvisa. Hey, Alvisa.
Sandu, actually. Hi, Alvisa. Hi, Sindhu.
Welcome.
Welcome. Lamar Title. Lamar Title. Is correct. Clara, are you there? Joe, I didn't see you before. I am wrong.
Hello. This
Hello.
is my first time joining you guys.
Okay.
Yay,
Nice to meet you.
welcome.
Can you
Nice to meet
introduce
all of you as
yourself?
well.
Yeah. Where are you
Welcome,
from?
Joe.
I'm located in Seattle, Washington, and I just started UI design immersion. And I
Okay.
saw this on meetup.com and I was like, oh my God, emotional design 101. This is exactly what I'm looking for.
Yeah. That's amazing. And
You're in the right place.
Yeah, and you have
Um,
Halliq that is a great person is going to teach you a really good topic.
I don't know. I hope I can put at least.
Come
half
on, you are really good in your
of,
stuff.
my goal is at least I should make sure that half of you guys go to sleep before the end of the session.
So just
right
to be sure, just to make sure you understand how is how we behave here. Like it's not normal.
We don't behave.
Is joking. Be happy to say anything, even if you think is bad thing. Don't care. Yeah, we don't care. Yeah, no.
Fantastic. No, I prefer this kind of environment. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's more joyful, right? So okay, what do we have here? I want to introduce so you are from Seattle, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Joe, okay.
Yeah.
Are you in Discord right now?
Am I in where right now?
We have, let me put here, invite people. I'm going to
Discord? I have Discord, yeah.
Yeah, you have? Okay. I'm going to put during the week, during the meet, the Discord link for join you if you want. If someone not, yeah, okay. So everybody, thank you for coming. I don't know if we have new ones, but I cannot see the names. I don't know why. I would like to have a overview of the people coming here, but I think we can start, right? So I think we can start with today's meeting. We have Halliq here. Halliq is our mentor, great person that gives me the first nickname here in Canada, that is Pepper, because my last name is Serrano, so the Pepper Serrano is supposed to be a nickname. Okay. Anyway.
It's a great nickname.
Yeah, if you think.
She's okay. Okay, it's the
Yeah,
private
go ahead.
From now on, everyone in the community is going to call you Pepper.
It's a private comment. I'll tell you later.
Okay.
Leticia, Serrano pepper is really popular in Arizona, USA.
Oh wow! So
you could be popular there.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming, Sida. Sida, it's okay, the pronunciation?
Yeah, it's a way to remember my name is it rhymes with pita bread.
A what?
Pita bread, like
Pita
Middle
bread?
East pita,
Pan de pita.
pita.
Pita bread. Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
pita. Okay, good.
Yeah, it's a way to
Pan
remember.
árabe.
Pita.
Are you
Okay.
by any chance from Chennai?
No, well, I'm born in US, but my parents
Okay.
are from South India, Andhra Pradesh.
Ah, okay.
I'm
Fair
divided
enough.
to Telangana.
Fair enough.
Well,
Yeah.
consider. I didn't see before. I don't know why. Maybe it's for camera off or, but
Yeah, I just
happy to
shut
know.
off the camera for a little bit and then went back on.
It's okay. Don't worry. Thank you for coming here. So we can start. Halliq, if you have something for share, you can start sharing. This topic today is going to be great. It's emotional design 101. I don't know why it's 101, no? I think it's the ABC basic topics for emotion. What happened? Wow.
Can you guys see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, and please, people, prepare your questions for, you can put it in the chat. You can ask yourself at the end of the presentation. I don't know, Halliq, if you want to make it interactive. Well, your decision, but please ask, be curious. We need your, we need to hear you. This is not only a one-way presentation.
I think Halliq has a lot of experience in this part, and UX is a really good mentor, so you can absorb a lot of information from him. So be sure
Hopefully.
to ask
Yeah.
a lot.
Okay, don't bombard me, but yeah, sure. If you have a question, I would say drop it in the comments. Maybe Pepper or Liz can curate the questions. And yeah, by the end of the session, I'll try to answer as much as questions as possible. And yeah, let's start. So as Liz and Pepper was saying, my name is Halliq. So I'm a senior UX specialist working for a company called Applied Digital. I'm from Vancouver, and so we are a product design studio who specially work on products in games, e-commerce, and artificial intelligence, machine learning, and agriculture, fintech business areas. And yeah, so I've been in this business for last 9 years. I studied for it in my college, and that's how I ended up in this business. No, that's actually a total lie. So I really wanted to be a computer graphics guy. I did try, and one day my first boss in my career, he just told me, "Why don't you try UX?" And yeah, I fell in love with UX, and it's been like it's going to be 10 years. It's very soon. I'm gonna turn. So it's good. So for people who are entering into this domain, all I will say, it doesn't matter what type of background or education that you guys have. UX is like super versatile. So if people are saying, oh, you need to have education or something, don't care about it. Try to learn UX. The only thing that is important about UX, I would say, is like you should learn to empathize users. That's all. That is the only rule. If you can learn that, I guess it doesn't matter what type of background you have. So today's topic, emotional design 101. I was interested in this topic because even when I studied UX in my college, or as I was working through the companies when I was a fresher, I saw people focusing on like one area of UX, because UX has like multiple disciplines in it, and people always like focused on one area, and an emotional part of it was actually usually left out. Some people argue, no, we don't leave it out, but I think like maybe at least after this presentation that you guys could see that there's actually a different core principle of UX, which we guys usually don't address. It could be because of multiple constraints, but yeah, but that's all. I guess that covers who am I and what am I doing and what we're going to do today. So I want to start with a simple question for all of you. So can anybody tell me, like, when did this UX start? Can anybody take a guess?
Maybe when a user touches the object, like for
No.
example, the phone.
Oh no, I mean like a history. Yeah,
I think it was Apple, maybe the first UX department that started there.
okay. Any other answers? Or are we going with Apple?
I think UX was always
Didn't
there.
it start? Go ahead. Didn't it start with Don Norman back in the 80s?
Fair enough. Okay, so
I was gonna say, sorry.
Yeah.
Probably from the first product made, a little bit of analyzing how people use things. I thought of the tea kettle almost just because of Don Norman's book, and just like that was the user experience of boiling water.
Okay, so this is like my understanding and my take. I think UX was existing like long ago, but we didn't coin the term user experience till like 19th century or 20th century, right? So I would say the first UX possibly that I could like understand or relate to was like 4000 BC. I'm sure if you guys know about Feng Shui, which is basically means like wind and water in in the land of China, which is basically Feng Shui means it refers to spatial arrangement of objects in relation to flow of energy. So basically, they just had a system using which those guys arranged furniture and all of the things around their home, where to put each thing, like different parts of the room in different houses. So that's how they started. But yeah, but it's not UX. But I think this is like one of the earliest starts to think about, oh, what should be the comfortable way to do certain things. And then I guess around like 500 BC, Greeks were like very good in it. Greeks and ergonomics actually went very well. So those guys actually designed tools and workplaces. The most popular guy, Hippocrates, he actually wrote a book, or I would say like a manual on things like how a surgeon's workplace should be set up. So he spoke about where should be the lighting, where should the surgeon be positioned, where should be the patient should be laid, where should be the tools should be get. So this is kind of like doing a design, right? So he basically designed the best way to actually have a surgeon's room, and that is like one of the things which I was able to connect with as well. And then around like 1900s, I would say like 1910s or 20s, there was this guy Frederick who actually wrote a, a manual which is called Principle of Scientific Management. It's basically like he was able to see inefficiency with the workers in the factories or offices or whatsoever. So he did some research and he wrote a manual which is basically said that a systematic management. So you need to create a system to manage which would actually eliminate inefficiency and which would actually increase efficiency among workers. But at that time, that manual was like highly criticized. But that manual was actually, it has like few of the core principles of UX. That is one. But personally, from what I learned and what I understand, World War II is actually where I would say the real UX started. So you guys know about this old cool badass bomber flights, right? Which was used in World War II. And you have all these different speedometers, dials, knobs, and levers and everything. And in World War II, USA actually lost around like 400 to 500. I think it was like around 450 planes. It went into accidents, which was deemed as like a pilot error. So every time somebody crashed a flight, they recorded the reason as pilot error. They never thought it was actually mission's fault. They always thought it was actually pilot's error. And especially the one particular model which was developed by Boeing, B-17, it was the one crashed almost like most of the times. So by 1942, Air Force, they actually hired this guy, Alphonse. He's actually a fresh graduate right out of college, or he was in final year, I'm not sure. He was studying psychology, and they hired him. And he actually spoke to pilots and he noticed something wrong. And around like 1947, they actually hired another two guys, Paul and Jones, and they also spoke to a lot of pilots. They read all these 450 crash reports, and then they also noticed some issue. Probably another question that I might want to ask you guys, like, what do you guys think was the issue with the flight, which made all of those pilots crash the flight? Any guesses? Take a wild guess. It could be anything. Maybe pilots were sleeping.
Bullets hitting the plane.
Sorry?
The
Bullets
bullets.
hitting the plane.
Could be. Any other reason?
It looks really complicated to fly that. So wouldn't it be really difficult to keep your eye on all of those different gauges? And yeah.
Okay.
Clara is saying pressure, Sebastian is saying dials in the wrong areas, ergonomics.
Okay, that's actually partly true. So yes, so one of the reason was actually so that the pilots were trained how to fly the bomber planes, how to actually use it and everything. But since there were like different types of models, and everywhere they went, the landing gear and the flap button, it was actually placed right next to each other or in different positions, and it was not designed properly. So and these guys are always in like a death or life situation, right? They could be killed, or their planes might have taken a hit, and all they want to do is like just land. And instead of like pulling up the flap and bringing down the landing gear, these guys exchange the switch, which basically pulled down the flap, and it actually like flipped the landing gear. So the landing gear went inside, and these guys they didn't have enough time to actually go up again. So that's why most of the times they crashed. So if you guys see on the left side, which I call killer design, so that is the old landing gear and like wing flap buttons. So if you see those, yeah, one is like a rectangle, other is just like a oval / circle, whatever you want to call that as. Even though it has like space, it has like a size or like a shape difference, but it was like placed right next to each other. And when you are in that kind of like environment where somebody's trying to kill you, and all you want to do is like your flight is like going down and you want to like land. So and then some of these flights had like a couple of pilots or single pilot, and instead of pulling down the landing gear, these guys like just made the wing flaps go down, and that means the flight went up. So yeah, so these guys keep making these mistakes. So what this guy Alphonse did when he did their initial research, so he basically found out this was the issue. And since they were using different flights, it was never pilot error, it's actually like machine error. And he basically made a small rubber model of the landing gear, and he fixed it on the landing gear lever. And he actually made a small flap or a wedge for the flap lever, and he put it there. So right now these two look like exactly what it's supposed to do, and they also look like the things that we're supposed to bring down. Like the landing gear looks like a landing gear, and the flap looks like a flap button. So even if they were not looking, just by touching it, they were able to figure out, oh, I'm actually touching the wrong button. So this is actually kind of, I would say, but yeah, I could be wrong, who knows, but I would say this is where initially I think the whole concept of designing for users started. And around this same time, Toyota also started their own design area for designing like cars with better ergonomics as well. So that was also happening simultaneously. But this is what I believe. But yeah, if you guys have any other data on when actually UX started, that will be very interesting to talk about. Yeah, so that was like a so that's like a more like a history, right? So I just want to start with that. And so as I was saying, UX has like multiple design core principles. And this was like a what is UX definition from Don Norman and like Jacob Nielsen. So he basically said the first requirement for exemplary user experience is actually to meet the exact needs of user without fuss or bother. So that is what we always do. Most of the times, we designers, we focus solely only on the first part, and we leave out the second part of the definition. So we most of the times we make the products that we work on, like it would be like super usable, super efficient, it will be like easy to use, whatever that we want to call it as. Yeah, it will be nice, so users can finish whatever that they want to do without much problems. But the second part is the one which I would say is actually going to elevate your product. The next comes simplicity and elegance that can produce the products that are joy to own and joy to use. So this is where the part of actually enjoying what you're doing comes up, which we usually like leave out in our designs. The word experience, typically, if we talk about UX, user experience designer, I'm a UX guy, but the word experience basically implies the emotions that users go through while they're using the product, right? So we conveniently leave that part outside. And we always try to figure out what is wrong after designing something. So I would say probably when you guys are designing, probably you should start considering users' emotion, like how we can like always make sure that they're having a positive experience right up front, rather than trying to figure out what is actually a pain point after designing it. Maybe even before designing it, we can actually start thinking about how to make it delightful for users. So where did this emotional design come from? So there are like these three, I would say, like design concepts. One is called like brutalism. If you guys heard about like brutalism is actually, it is actually one of those form follow function, which basically means it actually came from architecture. It basically means the shape of the product or the building that you're building should be based mainly on the function and purpose of the building. Like for example, if you're building a school, the shape of the building should be something which supports the school environment rather than it being aesthetically pleasing. So there is no need for us to build an like an Empire State Building for a school, right? Because there's no need for us to do that. Kids are not going to climb hundreds of floors every day. So brutalism is basically a bare bones. It's actually, again, as I said, it's actually form follow function, which basically means it's basically an MVP product put together with the most least amount of effort and cheapest materials available, with zero regards to appearance or like human experience. So it's basically the most bare minimum product that you can build. For example, in this case, you guys can see Craigslist. Craigslist is actually very good to use, but if you see, it doesn't have any kind of like aesthetic value. It doesn't care about experience. The only purpose that it cares about is how I can provide a platform where users can like post ads. That's all they care about, and that's what they do effectively. So this is actually like a nice example for like brutalism. Utilitarian design. So utilitarian design is something like it's also like form follows function, uh, but but it considers a little bit of aesthetic value. It considers a little bit of like human experience, and so that's why sites like Amazon or like eBay, even though it's not good looking, it actually does its purpose. Users are actually able to do, there's like a very high amount of transactions that happens in these websites every day. And the third one is called, so brutalism and utilitarian are kind of like siblings, and emotional design is actually an evolved form of utilitarian design. This is something I would suggest you guys to go and like explore a little bit more, like what is brutalism and what is utilitarian design. And emotional design is basically an evolved form of utilitarian design, um, where we totally consider human experience, and we want to always provide the best possible experience for users, using the best possible sources that is available for us. In this case, if you guys can see like MailChimp, I always use MailChimp in a lot of my examples, because I think MailChimp has like very nice human experience. Even if something is going wrong, they can always like make you smile about it. In this case, you guys can see like it's basically they're basically saying that my page is not working, but they are like using the Sherlock Holmes analogy to make it like a little bit funny. So yeah, okay. On the right slide, yes. So yeah, so what is emotion? That's something which I want to like quickly go through before we move to the next slide. So emotions, some people say it's like your attitude, or it's like things you feel, like what is feeling, right? So it's basically emotions. This is what was taught to me, and I believe that is the right way to approach it. So emotions are basically a biological state associated with the nervous system brought on by neuropsychological changes. So to say it simple terms, it's basically a physiological response from you to a perceived trigger. So let's just say you walk on the street and you suddenly smell burger and fries, and either you'd be like feeling happy, or you would be like feeling hungry, right? So and suddenly you actually have the feeling of hunger in you. So this is what an emotion is. It's basically a physiological response from a trigger or a motivator that could be internal or external, and which could be a threat or an opportunity. And if you guys see this particular image on the right side, there's actually a very nice study done. And I've put a small link here. I'll share the deck. I saw this article on Wired, and it was actually done by a university where they studied like 720 professionals and they did a scientific reading on their whole body, like whenever they are feeling certain emotions, which parts of the body are being like triggered. So if it's like anger, you see like the whole head till like the torso is actually being very active. Your heart beats faster and everything. And if you're like depressed, the whole body goes kind of into like a dormant state. So emotions actually does a lot of things to our body, which we don't understand. Usually people think if you're emotional, it's just everything in your head. But emotions actually affect our bodies as well. Okay. Next slide. So we'll quickly see about what is this hierarchy of needs. Have anybody seen this before? Right? Yeah, I'm sure a lot of guys must have seen this. This is like a very common pyramid of user needs that many of the people who are in UX field have seen. It's basically designed by Maslow. This guy was like super old. He published a paper in 1943, A Theory of Human Motivation. And so it basically tells how a human motivation goes through these different phases. If you can see here, this basically like starts with basic needs, which is like basic things like food, water, heat, and like other things which you need to live, to survive. And second one is actually safety needs, security and safety. So it's basically like fight or flight scenario situations. So in case of something happens to us, these are the things that we would seek first. Regardless of who it is, you would always seek out for food and water and everything, because that's what's going to keep you alive. You're not gonna go and search for money for sure. The second part of the one is, it's called like psychological needs, where you're thinking about your mental health. So you want some intimate relationships, you need some love, you need some friends, you want to actually feel part of the community. And esteem needs. This is where you want to feel proud, and you want to feel accomplished, you want to feel comfortable in everything. So this is actually second psychology. So if your basic needs are like fulfilled, this is what you would seek as a person on a secondary level. And the final one is called like self-fulfillment, where you're like totally comfortable. It's what I call as like a Zen state, where you're like fully in tune with whatever that you need. And the next one is actually kind of similar. It's actually defined by Aaron Walter. He actually wrote a very nice book. It's called Designing for Emotions. I would suggest, go and check out his book. So he this is like very similar to what that we saw in the previous slide, which was written by Maslow. But this one actually takes the user needs, and he basically defined which basic user needs that the interface, that the products that we are designing should actually fulfill before moving to the upper levels. So basically, you should create usable, reliable, functional designs. The bare minimum should be like a functional design, which always works. So the part of reliable, and then which is like actually like easy to use. So those three things, if those three things are like achieved, then you can actually go ahead and make your product much more pleasurable and significant and delightful. And this is usually the part which I would say as UX designers that we don't usually think about. A lot of people do, but there are like a lot of constraints when you're like working in like client facing environments, and sometimes you don't get to address this part. Okay, so I just put both of them together because I want to talk about emotions. So which emotions that humans would actually feel if this pleasurable and significant top level emotions have been fulfilled by us. So when a user actually uses, let us take an example like Instagram. So if it is like very pleasurable and delightful to use, that means user who's using it would actually feel happy, excited, focused, empowered, complacent, whatever feelings that we currently see on the right side. Those are the feelings which they would feel and which they would associate with the product and the brand. But if it is not providing those kind of delightful experiences, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but these are some of the feelings that you guys see on the left side the users might actually feel. So they might be anxious, they might be alert, they might not trust your brand, they may be like frustrated with certain issues which they wouldn't understand, dissatisfied, insecure, powerless, and hopeless, and depressed. So these are some of the potential feelings that you guys could trigger just because your product is not delightful. Anybody have any questions so far? Either I'm too clear or I didn't make any sense.
So far, so good.
Okay, thank you. So how emotions are connected to designs? Do anybody want to take a jab at this question? No? Okay. Cool. So this is like a simple diagram which I put through. This diagram is actually like detailed. It has like around like 9 to 12 steps, but I just made it like a lot more simpler. So basically, whenever you have a trigger or a motivation factor, which can be, as I said, it could be external or internal. So your sensory or our senses, it could be like eyes, noses. Oh, that's actually an interesting question. Can somebody tell me how many senses human beings have? Everybody is agreeing with 5. That's actually a myth. Scientists actually recently discovered there could be as much as 20 senses to human beings. Like for example, we usually say oh, we have like eyes, nose, our tongue, ears, and touch, right? But there could be like more than that, right? Like what about pain? Is pain a sense? Whenever you're feeling pain, that's a sense, right? What about balance? If you guys are like not in balance, you guys are like gonna fall down, that's a sense, right? You can detect it when you're gonna fall down. So there are like multiple senses that pressure is actually another sense. If somebody like squeezing you, that's actually some could argue it's actually touch. No, it's like, even without touching, you can like induce pressure and people would feel uncomfortable. So scientists argue that there are like more than around 20 senses, but I don't know. So yes, so as I was saying, whenever you have a trigger or a motivation, which could be which our sensory organs pick up, and our sensory organs sense those as like electrical signals to our brain, right? Because when I see the Zoom screen, I see all those faces and everything, and my brain sends that signal back to my head to figure out whether it fits any of the schematic patterns that's already stored in my long-term memory, right? Because that's what human brains keep doing. We keep looking at things and it keeps sending back and forth to figure out. But so that's why whenever we look at a tree, we know it's a tree because our brain knows it's a tree. So what happens? So once our memory sends us the associated data back to the body, saying that, hey, yeah, so these are actually faces of human beings whom some of you have, like few of those people you have met them before and few you haven't met. So now the unconscious part of the brain would actually start processing the data. So even before the data comes back to me and says, okay, I know Letitia, I know Liz, I know this person, that person. Even before I start thinking about that, the unconscious part of the brain actually starts producing hormones or anything that is needed at this point to actually produce those unconscious actions. Like in this case, like what I would say is like my brain is telling me, okay, this is like nothing alarming. There's no threat here. These are just people, and they're like far away, and you're just seeing them through the computer. So there's no threat here. You can be relaxed. So that could be the unconscious part of my brain is actually telling my body to do. And then I receive the signals, and my conscious part of the brain, which I'm using to think. That is when I'm actually saying, oh, okay, I know Letitia, I know Liz. Oh, okay, happy. I'm actually happy. I know these people. So it's going to be a nice, good hangout for me to do here. And then finally, so that is where you actually start feeling stuff, which human beings usually think, oh, okay, I'm actually making some decisions. But no, in reality, your brain actually makes a lot of decisions, and then it feeds you the data, which is actually safe to do. And then you finally do the action. In this case, I'm actually like continuing to speak, or like I start to speak to people, because that is the best possible action without any kind of threat for me. So to give this as a, like to give an example for this particular flow, where is it? You're here. Okay. So I'm going to take like two examples. One is like non-digital and one is like digital. So if you see on the top row, so let's just say a couple is walking past Pizza Hut. The door is open and they just smell the smell of pizza, the cheese and the toppings or whatever, maybe the garlic bread. And instantly the sensory parts send the signal and the brain tells them, oh, it's pizza. And then the brain checks for the body to see whether they have enough energy, enough glucose in the blood, and it feels like it's not enough. So it tells you, so it just gives you, okay, you're hungry. So by the time I realize it's pizza, my body has already decided I'm hungry. That is when you, even though you might have just had lunch, when you cross those restaurants, you feel like, oh, should I eat a slice of pizza here? You know, you get that feeling, right? So it's mainly because your body is determining whether you have enough glucose, enough stuff, enough stuff in your body to actually like proceed. So you get hungry, even though you might have had lunch, you're still gonna walk into the restaurant to get that one slice of pizza and eat. So this is why I say your brain actually makes a lot of decisions even before you think you are making an ultimate decision. The similar way, let's take like Amazon Music. I just like, oh yeah, this is actually from today. Apparently they're giving 4 months free time for $0.99. So for people who want to go and buy, go ahead. But yes, so I saw this, and then let's imagine this is person, and this person sees the ad, and suddenly her brain sends, oh, Amazon Music, 4 months for $99, and her brain goes back, and then she gets all the nice memories of some of the songs that she's been listening. It thinks about Apple Music or maybe like Spotify, whatever is it. And then she thinks, oh, this is actually a very good value. 4 months for $99 is actually good value. Maybe I can just pay $1, use the 4 months, and then I can like subscribe, I can unsubscribe. And then she ends up buying it. This is like not 100% accurate. I'm just again, I guess, saying that this is what might happen. So this is a trigger, and this is what your brain is bringing back, and this is the emotion you're feeling, and this is the action you're pursuing. So this is what I would say, how an emotion is being triggered by the interface you design, and user end up doing what you want them to do. So this is basically an emotional design. Using emotional design is not just, again, creating delightful experiences, it's creating delightful experiences so that users stick to your brand, stick to your product. Because if it was not causing delightful experiences, users might just see and they might just move away. Okay, next thing. So as I was saying, so who's making all this decision? Is it us or is it our brain? Who's making all this decision? Does anybody want to answer? Who is in control of our body? Are you making the decision, or your brain makes the decision before you do?
Your brain.
Probably our pre-existing experiences. So I would say our body. not our mind, probably.
Okay, so
Your
even I
brain
can.
receives the message to what happened in your body. Like the decision maker is the brain for me.
Yep, totally. I agree. This is what my belief as well, that since we all came from the caveman period and everything, yeah, right now we are like all civilized. We are living in Canada or US. We are like feeling all safe and secure. I can walk at 12 o'clock midnight, no problem. But when I was a caveman, I cannot do that. So your brain and your senses are actually helping you to be safe. And that's what your brain keeps doing even nowadays. So whenever, regardless of whatever sensory information that the brain gets, it will always look for a good possible solution. And then and that is the information that it's going to feed you. Like in case of Pizza Hut, it tells you, oh, eat food when it's available, because food was not that much available in those cave days. So whenever you get food, you eat. So that is why you may be not that hungry, but when you cross a restaurant, you kind of start feeling hungry. You pass another restaurant, your hunger increases, and then you finally go to your office. Okay, I'm like super hungry, I need to eat now. So it's that. So this is what I believe, that brain feeds you information uh, as per your body wants. So yes, so this is, let's talk about the core principles of emotional design. As I said, this is what I believe. UX has like two core principles, actually on more, which we can talk later. So one is actually the usability part, which is the WIM model. This was something which I learned from Human Factors International, basically visual, intellectual, memory, and motor load. So yeah, so visual means basically you're optimizing the visual comprehension, simplifying the decision-making process, minimizing the memory load for users, and minimizing the effort of movement and interactions, which would make your product totally usable, efficient, and easy to use. But there is no delight in that. The whole delight factor is actually handled by emotional design, which is basically visceral, behavioral, and reflective. So this is like a model defined by Don Norman. There are like a couple of other models which are designed by other people as well, but that is like that's going to take that's like super in-depth. I would say this is like a very good model to start with, even in your day-to-day design activities. And then as you are like getting more and more used with this model, you guys can like start implementing much more advanced techniques. So yes, so what is a visceral? So visceral is basically the instant feeling. So you get a new iPhone, you open the iPhone box, and then you're like, oh my God, this is so beautiful, right? You don't even think about it. So there is no thinking process. It's just like instant gut feeling that you get. And what is like behavioral? So behavioral reactions or feedback is basically something which you get after using the product little bit. So you're basically in the product, you're doing something, and then the product has some kind of like, maybe it's a micro interaction, or maybe it's like a reward, whatever is it, and then you get this positive feeling. It could be a positive or negative feedback, but that's the behavioral feedback. And then what is the final one? Reflective. So reflective is something which is the final level, which at which users actually think about their own visceral feedback, behavioral feedback, and then they make an informed decision of what do they like and what they do not like. So there's a sweet spot where you can combine all three, and that is called the delight zone. So let's see what is the visceral feedback. So visceral feedback, as I said, it's like an immediate response, right? To the experience that you feel in your gut rather than thinking. As I said, it could be opening your iPhone. It could be like, in this case, this is nothing but it's a toothbrush and a paste, but it looks so good, and I really want to do as that guy do. I'm like, oh my God, this is so good. I need to get this today. But it's gonna sit in your washroom. Nobody's gonna see that. But it looks so good. The product is presented so good. You open the box and you instantly fell in love with this product. So it's basically love at first sight. and it triggers positive reactions. So to actually trigger these kind of reactions, I would say as a designers, you guys should really focus on first few minutes of the interactions that the user is going to have with your product, which is actually basically onboarding and sign up. If that is like super delightful and nice, then users would actually have an instant positive reaction. And even if something is not good in the later stages, they would not make a big deal out of it. It's because the visceral reaction is actually positive for them, and they have already like started loving this product based on the gut feeling. And yeah, so let's see a couple of more examples. So if you see the first one, it's basically, I think I got this from, it's not like actual product. These are actually some of the like portfolio designs, which I found online by other designers, which was in Dribbble or Behance or something. But I really like this example. I think this is for like a dating app. And if you see, I actually see the 3 steps which they use to define. Create a profile. There's this guy who's sitting, and then it flips, and there's a match of this girl also doing the same, and then flips again. Oh, start dating. So for me, it just tells a small story of what this app is all about. Which actually makes me smile. And I already have built a positive reaction with this particular app. And then I was like, oh, wow, this is actually very cool for me personally. And then if you see the next one, I'm guessing this is some kind of like a health app. As I said, these are not live products. These are some of the designs with some of the designers did for their own portfolio. They are just getting the weight and height, but it's again like makes me smile. Like it's actually like cool. You can like change the gender, you can like increase the height and weight, and it basically gives you feedback. It makes the guy fat, it makes the guy grow, and he's like doing all the bench press and everything with the buttons. So it's basically like a little bit of humor. And I'm guessing, I mean, I really want to see the full app now. So this is basically like visceral reaction. You get the instant, I'm not even like logged in, and I already feel good, positive feeling about these apps. So even if something is bad, I might still be okay with it because I already built in, as I said, I've built in positive association. So this is why people should actually spend more time in actually making their initial impression. It's like you're going on a date, and 5 minutes you decide whether that person is good or bad, right? It's, as I said, it's like first impression. You make it good, you make it like solid one. It applies for product design as well. The next one, behavioral. As I said, this is kind of like not instant. This is like somewhere a response to an experience as you interact with the product. In this case, I really want to use this sloth guy because, yeah, he's not like instantly reacting to the joke. He's actually taking maybe a minute to react. Oh, so it's same thing. So I'm actually like, I use Uber Eats every day or most of the days. And I really like this one. Like I order food, and then they kind of show this, your food is being prepared. They have this like wok and olive oil and fire. And that's actually, I thought it was like really cool. And I've spent a couple of days just watching this for like 15-20 minutes for no reason. So I think this is actually the behavioral reaction. I build positive reaction to things happening inside the tool. So now I've started using the tool or the product, and I'm still getting like nice, delightful experiences. Again, I just want to like bring something cool. So all of these 3 things, again, they're like concept designs. The first one is actually a Nike shoe size picker. This one I thought it was like really good. Again, it's somewhat similar to the health app that we saw. You can like pick your shoe size, change your color, and it basically makes the shoe big and small and with nice transitions and everything. The second one, it was more like an IoT device where you like control the temperature and the color of the light and everything. I thought that was like pretty cool. I might actually sit and do it for like 1-2 hours continuously. And the third one, again, it's never going to happen. But this was a concept idea, which basically means like you connect your washing machine with your phone, and you can like start the machine, and it basically start tumbling, which is actually pretty cool idea. I would say probably somebody has to create the tool. Again, these are like behavioral things. These are not like instant visceral reactions. These are something which you you would experience as you're using the tool, which still giving you delightful experiences every time. And the last one is the reflective. As I said, reflective part is basically where you are like, it's your conscious emotion to a product or a brand after you're fully immersed. So you're like using that particular product, you're fully immersed, and yeah, so you are basically thinking about the visceral and behavioral reactions you had with this brand or product, um, and you're actually making a decision whether you like this brand or not, whether certain things are valuable to you, which things are valuable and which things are not valuable. So it basically helps the user. The reflective reaction basically helps the user. Should I stick with this brand or not? That's what I would say. Because you have used the product so long, and then you're thinking about, oh, this is actually a good product. Oh, I actually had good experiences so far. So maybe I should keep using it. I should not switch to I should not search for like a new email client. For people who've been using, I'm like a Hotmail user. I've been using Hotmail for so long. My primary email is still Hotmail, and I have never changed it because I never had a problem. I have had good, I don't know about visceral, but I think I have a very good behavioral feedback from Hotmail, and I'm never going to change it. So my reflective thing is like, I'm going to keep sticking to Hotmail. So so reflective reactions, it basically makes users more loyal. Like, for example, when I say loyal, have you seen crazy people who still keep their iPhone boxes of iPhone 1 or 4 which they bought? Yeah, that's actually like brand loyalty. That's basically a reflective reaction, because you're so invested with the brand, and you like the brand so much, and you still keep those kind of items because you feel those things are necessary. If you throw away, you feel like you're not being loyal to the brand. So they save the brand covers and packages and everything. um, um, and so how do we can actually do things which would help us to measure how much percentage of users actually reflective or not? So if you see the example here, have you guys used, I'm sure everybody used this, in Google Maps, when you search and use a public transit, they have this small options which helps you to put how crowded is the bus, how accessible is the bus, what is the temperature, is there like seat space available, whatever. But it's not a necessary, right? It's not something which you have to do, but most people do it because they want to do it. And it's basically because they're actually being, it's basically their reflective reaction to the brand. It's not something which they want to do. Nobody wants to do that. Nobody is giving them anything to do that. The Google is not rewarding them for doing those things, but we do those kind of things. Another thing could be like sharing. Nobody asked you to share anything, but you guys keep sharing, right, in that particular space that you're using. Another third thing is like, I would say, like inviting your friends. A lot of people invite their friends over to join new services because they feel like they have to justify and invite their friends and make sure that they also feel the same way that you are feeling, that hey, there's actually a very good platform. LinkedIn is very good for jobs and to connect with people. You should join LinkedIn if you are searching for new jobs or you want to talk to new people.
Alec, sorry
Yeah.
to interrupt. We have 6 minutes to wrap up the meeting. So
Okay.
yeah.
Okay then, see you. No.
No, finish your point.
Okay, so one last slide, or actually I have a couple of more slides, but this is like a quick thing. So there's like much more to emotional psychology. In detail, if you go, you guys would learn a lot of things about hormones. And I was just talking to this to Serrano, and yeah, there's like a lot more which involve like psychology principles and bodily behavior. How does hormone affects your behavior? How, as designers, we can actually use or trigger those. Like dopamine is actually main thing which that we use. Like as a game designer, I actually use a lot of principles which would trigger dopamine. That means users actually expect some kind of reward. That's why so yes, so that's actually a very good principle to actually start with. So but in this case, if you guys want to like do not want to learn about those things, but still you want to somehow use emotional design in your day-to-day design practices, I would say like, yeah, start using like micro interactions. Make like very nice meaningful micro interactions. Tell a story. As I said, the example that we saw with the dating app, and the guy is like sitting there. He's like punching in a profile. The girl is sitting there punching in a profile, and finally they both go on a date. It's a small story, but it's actually like very easy to remember, right? We have done so many papers and exams in college, but none of us remember any questions, but we still remember the gossips that we spoke to our friends in college. Why is that? Because it's a story, and we always build association with stories. So make experiences shorter. That's one thing which I always tell to many of the designers. Do not make a lengthy process. Users are more comfortable when they can see an end, because they know, oh, it's only like 5 steps. Yeah, okay, fair enough. But it's like 100 steps, I'm not going to do it. Make experiences shorter, so it's nice and sweet. The language that we use in the product, make it a familiar tone with your target segment. Do not use something which they're not familiar with. Language and voice and tone, whatever that you guys are using. Make it funny. Everybody likes the funny guys, right? Everybody likes to be happy. So if you guys can introduce humor here and there, it always builds up. It's not just because people are laughing, it builds positive connections with your brand as well. Reward the users. That's something which I would say. Give users, it could be like some kind of like digital reward, points, coins, whatever it is. Maybe it's just a small hi-fi, but reward the users. Like a Medium provides this claps, right? Yeah. And then visual cues. Yeah, use visual design. That's your best friend, because you can like tweak, you can provide a lot of visual cues, use color, use different visual elements to actually trigger a lot of emotion for users, and personalize and customize the experiences. So providing a personalization for user, they always feel comfortable in that space because they know they control and they have ownership of certain things. I just wanted to ask a couple of questions, but do we have time? We don't?
We
Okay.
have 3 minutes just to
Yeah.
finish.
So I just wanted to know,
A lot
like,
of questions, I think.
oh, okay.
I have one big one.
Okay, so now I just wanted to ask, like, okay, we just saw about all those emotions and everything. It's just a basic concepts. It's nothing in depth. I just tried to explain what is already available in the web for you guys to study as well. But based on this discussion, I just wanted to understand, like, what emotion you guys would think is being triggered for a user when he or she is like looking at the screen. It's basically a screen from Bumble, which tells you, oh, see who already liked you by upgrading to Bumble Boost. And then the screen on the right tells you, oh my God, there's like 49, 50 users who like you. And you just need to upgrade to see those 50 users. So what kind of emotion do you think is being triggered by Bumble to build positive experiences for users?
I would say curiosity.
Anticipation. Sorry.
That's okay.
Talk.
Same thing, right? Anticipation, curiosity. Yeah.
Oh, I would say is it like more like flattery? Oh my God, 50 people like me. So I would be like, oh, now I really want to see who are those 50 people. But in reality, you're just paying money. So this is actually building positive reaction, right? So using visual cues and language to build a positive reaction, and then ending up converting the user for us. The second one, yeah, this is from Twitter, which basically tells, help us to keep your account safe. Put in your phone number so that we can verify the phone number associated with your account. What reaction you guys think are being triggered by Twitter by designing this particular element in such way?
I think it is more of panicky, being panicked that you have to enter some password really quick.
Yeah, so it's basically like panic, anxiety. Through that, they are building positive reinforcement. Oh, okay, if I do this, my account is going to be safe. If I do this, my account is going to be like good. But if I don't do this, then my account will be like locked, or it won't be safe. But yeah, so that's the so by giving you a little bit of anxiety, you are more driven to actually complete this task. So that is how people sometimes use negative reinforcement to do things, right? So it's basically the same concept here. The next one, yeah, we all have seen this. We all have we are doing this every day in our designs as well. But yeah, what kind of emotions that you think we are triggering?
On that, so on like the second one,
Anxiety.
oh, sorry. The second one on the first screen or the first set, and then the Nike, I feel like it's definitely stress. Yeah, because like only one left, and then like this ends in 25 minutes. So definitely like a sense of like, I need to do this now, like urgency.
Yeah, it's the classic fear of missing out, FOMO, that is so effective in advertising.
Oh yeah, totally on point. So it's not envy, it's not jealousy. Some people mistake it. I usually say envy and jealousy because I feel like this is I have definitely thought about it like this. Okay, if I don't buy this now, and if somebody else in my office buys and I don't have it anymore, then I feel like a loser. So I would actually, I mean, personally, I have thought in such ways. So he was on point. It's basically like fear of losing out and wanting it. So that's what, if we actually see the difference between the left and the right, it's same cost, but by using different things like high demand, rare find, it was booked 2,950 times. 36 people are currently looking at it, so you better book it now. Just booked by a dude, just one more seat left. So all those things are visually nothing. It has to do with anything, but it's just like brings this whole sense of urgency, and you just don't want to lose it because you feel like it's been wanted by everyone else. And we are like social beings, right? So we are like sheeps. We follow everybody. So we are okay. Everybody's looking at it. I'm going to look at it, and I might probably like book it. So yeah. So that's it. Thank you so much. And I have a guy in my office who's vacuuming, so I'm really sorry about that. But I hope I was able to share some of the wisdom today. And if there is any discrepancy or any updates in any of the points I shared, yeah, please drop in a comment in the Discord channel. I am always like up for learning new things.
Perfect. I think you can write your question in Discord right away if you have. Actually, I will put my question there because, yeah, you have to write. You have to go, right?
Who? No, I'm fine. If you guys want to.
Oh, okay, okay. So, yeah. Okay, I am going to open the Q&A section then. I have let me think about that because it's not a question, it's more like an advice. What do you think? Because we have to create a product for people that have anxiety. They get many problems for their health condition and their their nutrition as well. So the main problem with this kind of people, the pattern of them are the anxiety and the mental illness. So what do you suggest to me or to the group to do for how to avoid more anxiety in the time when you have to reduce their weight?
I'm really sorry, Letitia. This guy was so loud. I was like listening to him. Can you just repeat the question again? I'm so sorry.
Okay, I think I am reorganizing my question as well.
Okay.
Like,
I'm just gonna walk into a meeting room. Yeah.
Don't worry. I think I have an application to work on that. The user has an anxiety, and they have to change the behavior in nutrition. So my question is, what do you suggest to me to do in that part? Because they are using the application during the worst time of their life, the change in the behavior because of the application. I explained correctly?
Can you just say it once more? Sorry.
Yeah, yeah, no worries.
Maybe I can help you, Leticia. Yeah. So she's asking, she's creating an application that is meant to help people that they are having some they are struggling in their lives with health problems, and they feel very anxious because of that. So this application is going to help them to get better. So how can we use emotions just to try to help them, and at the same time make them to feel engaged with the application?
Oh my God, that's actually a very big topic. I've never worked in applications like that. It's because you usually have to include a health practitioner to actually even start designing tools for it. Because for people who have mental health issues, I would say, just based on my understanding right now, I would say like possibly try to give them more and more positive reinforcement. Never use any kind of like negative techniques. For example, I would say there is actually a negative visceral reaction. Like you guys, we all have seen it a lot. It's actually kind of like a dark pattern which people use, and it's extensively used in fashion websites. You have this like beautiful, good looking, sexy models, both guys and girls, wearing all these like nice shirts ripped off and everything. And then you feel so attracted to it. You feel good seeing that. But are you going to look the same when you actually buy the shirt? No, right?
No.
Yeah. So it's basically using negative visceral reaction or whatever. So it's basically triggering that to actually make you into buying it. Same thing has been used a lot in games as well.
Game motivated people to keep doing it, right?
Yeah.
Even if they lost the
So in this case, for your question, I would say if people have like certain health issues and they are feeling always anxious, I would say if we are designing a tool, possibly try to induce more and more positive reactions. Never work on anything which would trigger any kind of like negative reactions. Just hold on. Yeah. So always use techniques which so do not use any kind of techniques which would be like loss aversion. Yeah. So there are like two types of techniques. One is actually like gaining something, and then loss aversion. So that's actually the one which cuts through the pyramid that we saw. So among those needs, there could be a positive side and negative side. So on the positive side, we always gain something, and on the negative side, we always lose something. So our actions depends on that. So I would say try to use techniques which would be more of positive reinforcement and which would give them a sense of gaining.
Gaining value. Thank you for that.
Thank you, Halliq. Diana has a very interesting question, and I was thinking about that too. She said, talking about this booking example that causes more negative emotions like pressure and stress, do you think it's ethical for us, like designers, to implement such techniques like dark patterns, for example?
The ethical portion, it's always going to be an argument. I would say you can use it as long as it's not too much. Like fashion websites, it's too much. For me, that is like slightly crossing the border personally, because I never look good in any of those dresses. So yeah. But I would say games are something which have like conquered negative visceral reactions. Like whenever you stop playing games like Dragon Quest or whatsoever, where you have like these kind of like dragon habitats, which would start generating coins. Even though the coins are not full, if you come back, they actually start showing the coins on each of those habitats, which makes you feel like, oh my God, I have so much coins. This is like so good. Every time I come back, they actually give me more and more coins. But no, in reality, it's just one coin. We are never speeding up. The process is still the same. We just show the icons, that's all. So now you actually build positive reaction by actually showing you something negative. We are able to build positive reaction to the games. So games is actually very good in using it in a very small quantity, in a nice way, where users actually feel good about themselves and the game. Whereas in case of like fashion or cosmetics, that is when I would say it's kind of on the border. Some like Abercrombie and Stitch, I think those guys are like very good example of taking it like one step further. Their pictures are always like super sexy models, both guys and girls, and you feel like, okay, I would never buy from them, mainly because I know I would never look like those people. So
maybe maybe you have time for the last question. Is Danielle? She's asking, what about how to get the business side of the product stakeholders on board with spending resources on creating more delightful elements? How do you convince these business guys?
For me personally, when we talk about this, we actually talk about this like right now, since in our company, it's actually as part of the standard process. So we don't even have to talk about that. But we usually started doing it in a very small manner. So we were never able to do it initially in our MVP launch. So we'll always like park these things, and we would like slowly insert those things in like 1 or 2 features here and there, and then we would say, hey, maybe like post MVP we can do these kind of things for free for you guys. So that is how my company actually like did a lot of like nice things, and then as the projects kept going on, it became kind of like a normal thing for us to do. Like it's not just usable designs, it actually like it has to be delightful as well. I would say definitely, if you want to do it, include it as part of your estimation. Because if you're just building an MVP, which is just usable and efficient product, but that's fine. It's going to take like maybe 8 hours for one feature. But if you want to make it delightful as well, you're going to need to do some research and testing to make sure it's actually a delightful experience. So I would say consider that in the estimation, and rather than totally dumping everything to your business partners or your clients, I would say start doing it in a small scale, so that they don't feel alarmed. Pick out features which are like super important for you or for the business, and then start tackling those small issues one by one. And then over the period of time, I'm sure you guys would be able to convince your client or your business partners in the company to make it feel like it's actually a normal thing to do. I hope that's the right answer.
Yeah, I'm thinking of kind of measuring how many clients you convert and all that. I just posted a link from Talia that she had this. She uses emotional design to help brands to sell more. So she kind of measure how much money they are making, and she makes some changes, and then they measure again, and it's quite successful. So I think that's another option to like show that you are making more money if you are using emotions too.
Oh yeah, totally. So in our company we have this ROI calculators, which we use extensively for like different scenarios. So you can actually find them in a lot of sub websites. If not, I'll put a link in the Discord channel. So you can basically measure UX for different scenarios. So one thing is actually, yes, as you said, you can like measure the success of the changes that you're making. So in case of you able to do it in post-launch or pre-launch, you can actually use a certain measurements to actually tell your clients upfront, hey, if you actually do this change, this is kind of like the expected. As you said, yeah, it's a good technique.
So many more questions there, but maybe we should continue on Discord if you say.
Yeah, we can continue to Discord. So I think you can put all before. Let's put the link here for Discord for if someone is not there, so we can continue there. Thank you, Halliq.
Okay, thank you.
Amazing.
We
Thank you so much.
Thank you. So good, so fucking good topic.
Well, there's more. It's just I just regurgitated whatever that's already there. So it's actually a big ocean.
Yeah, and I have to say that Halliq is one of the most approachable people on Discord. So if you have any questions, Halliq is going to be there answering questions. So please ask him, because he's a very present person there.
I will keep asking you for that application that I have to use.
Hey, look, I did not pay them any money. I don't know why they are selling me so much. So.
They're awesome, Halliq. Thank you very much.
I'm still gonna keep calling you Pepper, okay? So nothing is gonna stop. Regardless of how much you praise me, you're still Pepper. So
no worries,
Thank you so much.
But thank you guys.
Bye.
Yeah, have a great night, okay?
Yeah, bye.
See you.
Bye. See you. Thank you for everything.